What's normally a quiet Auckland suburb was on Friday the scene of a terror attack. Police say a man entered this supermarket in New Lynn just after 2:30 p.m. before obtaining a knife from within the store and stabbing 6 people. Undercover officers who had been following the attacker intervened within 60 seconds. Authorities said the terrorist was a Sri Lankan national who arrived in New Zealand 10 years ago. He was flagged as a national security risk in 2016 and was under 24-hour surveillance. Police said there was no indication the attacker was planning anything other than a usual shopping trip, and officers needed to maintain a distance to be effective. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern described the man as a violent extremist inspired by Islamic State group ideology.
A British-born member of the Islamic State has pled guilty in a U.S. court to 8 criminal charges, including lethal hostage-taking and conspiracy to support terrorists. Alexander Cotie is one of 2 British-born jihadists held in Iraq by U.S. military and flown to the United States to face trial on terrorism charges. Cotie belonged to a 4-member Islamic State cell nicknamed the Beatles because of their British accents. Before a U.S. district judge, Cotie pled guilty to the murders of 2 aid workers, as well as journalists Stephen Sotloff and James Foley.
Think about who made the decision to bomb Iraq recently.
In 2014, Islamic State had released a video claiming to show Foley's beheading.
Of your country.
The charges against Cotie carry potential death sentences, but U.S. authorities say American prosecutors will not seek the death penalty. Instead, the Justice Department said Cotie has agreed to life imprisonment without parole. Under a tentative agreement between the U.S. and British authorities, he could also be transferred to Britain after 15 years to serve time there.
It's more than just a slap on the wrist for WhatsApp. In fact, the messaging service has just become the recipient of the biggest fine Ireland's Data Protection Commission has ever issued over what the firm was doing with user data.
The DPC has imposed a fine of €225 million on WhatsApp. In addition to the imposition of an administrative fee, the DPC has also imposed a reprimand, along with an order for WhatsApp to bring its processing into compliance by taking a range of specified remedial actions.
The matter goes back to 2018, when the DPC began looking into compliance with the European Union's then new data protection regulation, the GDPR. It ultimately found WhatsApp hadn't been sufficiently transparent over how it shared user data with Facebook, the company which has its European headquarters in Ireland that owns the messaging app. That decision initially led to a €50 million fine, but other European data regulators also had a say.
These are Mexican National Guard troops carrying out raids in southern Mexico. In the dark and in the pouring rain, the images show agents rounding up migrants and asylum seekers, many of them women and children. Confrontations between asylum seekers and immigration authorities have escalated in recent days. In one instance, government agents were caught on video violently kicking migrants. The UN has since called on Mexico to do more to ensure the rights of migrants and asylum seekers. On Thursday, President López Obrador also called on more cooperation from the US to help improve conditions in countries of origin for migrants. The International Organization for Migration says 2021 could set a new record for the number of migrants entering Mexico.
Oh my God.
Unprecedented rain in the Northeast led to scenes like these. In New York and Philadelphia, streets turned into rivers with drivers stuck on flooded roads after remnants of Hurricane Ida brought torrential rain to New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. At least 9 people were reportedly killed by flooding overnight. The rain came on fast Wednesday, crippling New York's subway system and leaving residents stranded with stations flooded. The governors of New York and New Jersey declared a state of emergency. The National Weather Service, which issued a flash flood emergency in New York City for the first time ever, said the storm dumped 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour along the Philadelphia to New York City corridor. Mayor Bill de Blasio described the rain and flooding on Wednesday night as a historic weather event.
6 police officers were charged with murder on Thursday for the deaths of 2 brothers in August, which led to accusations of brutality against law enforcement officials. The officers, 4 men and 2 women, pleaded not guilty when they appeared in a Nairobi court on Thursday. They will remain in custody until their bail applications are considered on September 22nd. The deaths of Emmanuel Mutura Ndwiga and Benson Jwiru Ndwiga, aged 19 and 22 respectively, sparked outrage in the country and led to demonstrations denouncing police brutality. They had been arrested on August 1st in the central town of Embu for violating the COVID-19 curfew.
Australia's leaders signalled the country could reopen faster, thanks to a boost in its stock of the Pfizer vaccine by 4 million doses. As Prime Minister Scott Morrison revealed Friday, it's a major swap deal with Britain.
The plane's on the tarmac now, it'll be leaving tomorrow, and those doses will be coming over the course of the next few weeks.
This means Australia will have double its September supply of the vaccine. Morrison says the extra doses could help hit a vaccination rate of 70%, a national target that under his plan would see greater freedoms for inoculated people.
Well, Elaine, more than 3,500 9/11 families have signed on to this complaint that was filed with the Justice Department's internal watchdog that oversees the FBI. And they allege some FBI officials deliberately either lost or even destroyed evidence that's important to the 9/11 investigation. And it reads in part, the Inspector General should examine whether one or more FBI officials committed willful misconduct with intent to destroy or secrete evidence to avoid its disclosure, given the importance of the missing evidence at issue to the 9/11 investigation, as well as the repeated mishandling by the FBI of that evidence. An innocent explanation is not believable. I've been through the records, and one of the pieces of evidence that jumps out is a videotape of the hijackers that was taken at a party in San Diego that was hosted by a Saudi national who worked for the Saudi government, Omar al-Bayoumi. And that videotape has been withheld for years under the Freedom of Information Act request, citing its importance to an ongoing investigation.